Hello and welcome back for Game 3 in our Best of 5 series. Golden Guardians have beaten TSM 5 games in a row, a 3-game sweep 2 weeks ago, and looking like a 3-game sweep here today. Ironic considering that TSM 2-0'd Golden Guardians in the Summer Split regular season. But if TSM want to do it now, they got a reverse sweep to have a chance at going to Worlds.
And the way in which they're doing it is also surprising because both these games were very winnable for TSM. There was multiple key moments where it felt like TSM could have played slightly differently and won that game. But you've got to give it to Golden Guardians, despite, I think, a comp disadvantage at that point in the game, you know, a scaling disadvantage, Ocean Soul on their opponents. They were just more clutch. They played better when it mattered in those critical moments. It doesn't matter if, on average, TSM played better over the course of the game with if you fail in those critical moments, right? And huhi came up so big for the team, FBI coming up so big for the team, you know, especially that bottom lane, I think really shining through. The 2v2 has been very even throughout these 2 games. So TSM has improved in that regard, but huhi is just finding so many picks. You know, this is a composition when they're playing that kind of split push style with the TF where you feel like, oh, they're not getting the dragons, you know, they're not really getting a lot done in the side lanes. This is going to be a rough game. And I think most teams from that point would have just continued to try to split push and maybe try to get something done and probably slowly lost the game. Instead, they recognized that wasn't working. They grouped, they depended on huhi to actually find, you know, great Bard ultimates, and multiple times in a row, he found the critical members on TSM, got them those picks, got them those kills, and they are 1 game away from Worlds when they had never won a playoff series in the organization's history prior to this year. And now coming into the split, they've won against TSM already once. They're looking to beat them again and go straight to Worlds.
Well, a battle with Cloud9 for the 3rd spot, I believe, would be the next road.
Excuse me. Yes, of course.
But I mean, the point still stands.
Yes.
Right? The squad hadn't won a best of 5 in their lives. And yeah, here they are about to maybe 6-0, and then, you know, a battle with a team they haven't played yet, right? C9, who has been faltering in the late half of the split, is certainly a battle they could win. And, you know, TSM, I feel bad because they were the longest running Worlds team. I mean, they were there from the very first one in 2011, and then 2018, 2019, and now about to be 2020, missing it as well. And of course, we're into the draft, so we'll skip this talk for now as Sett's first pick for TSM. Flexible top jungle. We saw Bjergsen play it in Game 3 against Golden Guardians last time around, so you might re-up that one. But we've seen supports like huhi also play Sett.
How salty would TSM fans be if Bjergsen plays
Go back to Bjergsen Sett. And I was like, yeah, give him Zed or, I don't know, something to like 1v5 on. Crumb's all hyped on AP Cog. It's like, it's Sett time. Let's go.
What about full tank Sett, though?
What about full tank Fiddle? You know, just one more of those.
One more for good times. But we'll see if they do want to put it, you know, top, mid, or jungle. It is a 3-way flex. You know, theoretically, it can go support, but generally it only is considered if it's alongside Kalista. So it is going to be, you know, Ashe in the bottom lane. The Caitlyn has been banned out. So TSM, you know, getting a little bit more serious, have made some adjustments. They ban out the Caitlyn, so that's not going to be over for FBI. They take the Ashe because they are on blue side, so that is their main adaptation. So FBI will be put on more of a supportive style of champion. We are seeing almost exclusively farming Senna, so you don't think it's going to be, you know, fasting Senna or anything like that, which does mean that, you know, Doublelift is going to be on a champion that has higher amounts of DPS. They have the Azir. That is a tremendous amount coming out from the mid lane as well. And we'll see how Golden Guardians do look when I think there's going to be more onus on other members other than FBI to really be that team fight carry, because on the Caitlyn, he's been getting work done in these last 2 games.
And Hauntzer again onto the Mordekaiser, only half sure that Sett is up in the top lane, and I believe he's actually more commonly a jungler anyway, but wants that one locked in as soon as possible, and they'll wait to see. We'll see if TSM has a counter pick or Mordekaiser in mind. As you can see, the matchup he put himself into, right? He picked Mordekaiser into Ornn, says, but we're going to ban Ornn here.
I mean, if you are willing to actually commit to more of a side lane player or a top lane style, and I'm not sure that TSM will be, but Jax is a great matchup, right? You can block the Volibear stun with that as a Q, counts as an auto attack. You know, you win that 1v1, you can outscale the Mordekaiser in the 1v1. That can be very, very strong. It does require some attention to actually protect the Jax, especially in the early game when Jax is fairly vulnerable. But you can get a tremendous side lane advantage. I also think that it can help to deny and match match up well against things like TF if Golden Guardians wants to go that way as well, because you can also block the gold card with your E. It's fairly powerful against Senna, who is reliant on few but very strong auto attacks, so it can work out well there. I'm not sure if TSM will be willing to go to it, because it's not just Broken Blade that would have to make the adjustment. The entire team has to play differently around one of those kind of side lane counter picks.
All right, well, Mordekaiser being covered by the Gangplank and Ornn bans. TSM throwing some mid lane bans that we've been seeing out of Golden Guardians. His Lucian was actually pretty solid against Team Liquid. And we go to the pick that we had twice before. You saw the Ziggs hover. It may still be the lock-in, but no, still wants to play Ekko.
Okay.
Ziggs Azir was 2-0 for these players. Damonte played it game 1 and 2 against Bjergsen, won both those games. Says, you know what, we're done with that style, though. We're going to stay with the Ekko. We like it against Syndra. We like it against Azir, too.
Really interesting, because I actually would have felt like the Ziggs would fit more alongside the Senna, because Senna is fairly low DPS, right? So generally you want a really high source of DPS from another lane. The Jax, I talked about it. I think it's the pick. I didn't think that TSM would have the confidence to go to it, but wow, they actually are going to. So I'm actually so excited. We get to see how TSM can play around a side lane win condition, especially with an AP mid laner and a tank jungler. You can rush things like the Wit's End, which are ridiculously strong in this 1v1, and itemize heavily towards that. Because anyone who's going to answer you in the side lane is going to be magic damage. If you go Karma last pick, the only physical damage that you really care about at all is going to be from Senna. That's easily answerable by your Counter-Strike. So I do think that your itemization becomes incredibly simple this game, for Broken Blade. And that can be really, really tough to deal with if they can get it going. If you can get to things like Wit's End, Death Dance, Merc Treads, of course you're going to want, maybe the Blade of Rune King and Triforce in there at some point. But the AP itemization, the anti-AP itemization is quite strong for the Jax. So this is a really smart pick, and I like that TSM have the confidence to go to it in what would be an elimination game here for them.
Yeah, if there is a winning draft for TSM, it is this one. I like this comp a lot. I think Doublelift is a very proficient Ashe player. I love the Broken Blade Jax. It is exactly the kind of style he wants to play. I want to see Spica spend some time up there. Bjergsen's Azir, we know, is absolutely phenomenal. Just off the draft, this feels like TSM taking a game and moving us to game 4. Obviously, you have to play the game out, but I like this one so much. I think the Golden Guardians win conditions are so incredibly narrow here.
Yeah, they are, but I felt like that last game. I mean, if we freeze frame last game, at the point where TSM gets Soul, what are the odds you're giving, right? Like, if you're giving TSM incredible odds, so you still have to be able to play out the game. And I will say, I think the draft is fantastic for TSM, but they have not really shown me like the hard split push style from their top laner this split. They had that one fantastic Aurelia game, but I do think Aurelia functions more easily in team fights compared to Jax. Oftentimes, Jax wants more time in those side lanes, and this requires not just an adjustment from Broken Blade, because I'm sure he can play the champion. It requires an adjustment from your entire team on how you play around the game, on protecting the Jax, on escorting in waves if it ever gets frozen on him, on guarding him in all these situations, which means not only does your jungler have to play different, well, guess what? Your jungler isn't protecting the other lane, so they have to play more safe. So it's a total team shift, and that's often why I don't think we see Jax and Fiora and champions like that as often as the matchups themselves would dictate we should.
All right, well, we are onto the rift for what could be the last time of the year for TSM. They must win this and the next game. And then a BO5 against Cloud9 if they want their season to stay alive. Otherwise, Golden Guardians will complete their 6-0 sweep during the playoff run and have a date for one final BO5 for Worlds, and then, hey, maybe even farther along in the playoffs. Regardless, it's been a good showing for Golden Guardians so far. FBI and huhi have been absolutely phenomenal, and everyone else in Golden Guardians has been keeping up pretty well. TSM will see if they can get this one over the finish line here in Game 3. Again, I like the draft. Broken Blade with a late ward. Might have spotted Hauntzer. I believe he did. As we know, it's going to be a topside start now for the Volibear. And a leashless Spica on red.
It's going to be a pretty fast red buff there with the Mordekaiser leash, and Volibear also just has quite a quick clear on that red buff, so that'll be very nice. You can see that Broken Blade, because he spotted him, he actually stacked the wave. It looked like up on the top side, if we can get a picture of that, to pull the minions so that it will push towards him. This is to make sure that Volibear can't go for any sort of cheesy level 2 gank. You group the minions so that they would come to you, and then you could actually play defensively and still collect that farm, because there's always that chance that Volibear just goes red top and tries to cheese you out.
Yeah, the wave is in fact meeting on Hauntzer side. You can see, right, this is not the normal equilibrium. So even though, yes, you know, the other minions took some damage a little bit early, it will always eventually go down. Yes, indeed. Going for the trade right here does have the stun, means a couple of autos comes through. Running Conqueror, right, running for the longer duration trades. Same for Hauntzer here on this side. You're never really going to change into that one. Of course, level 2 first means that trade is even easier. Hauntzer has the Claw, pulls him in for some decent damage, but the first trades go to Broken Blade.
And one of the reasons that this matchup actually is so strong for the Jax is because you require the 3 hits from Mordekaiser to proc the passive. That is where so much of his strength is. So generally speaking, you do that with a Q, an E, and an auto. You can counter-strike that auto and then push back for a long time, him actually proccing that passive. Right, so it won't actually go through. You won't actually be able to proc that that Mordekaiser passive, and it makes it very difficult to fight the upfront damage coming through from Jax. So Jax players can, you know, continually when they have the counter strike up, go aggressive, look to poke down, and then retreat before it becomes a really extended fight.
Right, because the guy is stunned. You can just like walk backwards. You're literally never in auto attack range. You can take 0 physical damage from the matchup if you play it around counter strike the entire time. You see Hauntzer can force something his way, but yeah, so far so good. You can see the first potion already chugged through. The first corrupting stack, not bad on Broken Blade side.
And swing the matchup. And there's no ward. So he has no ward hop, and he went forward.
Okay, the Claw will not hit though, so this is stunned down. Hauntzer going to be trading with Broken Blade now, and we know Counter-Strike is on cooldown. We know his flash got burned, and he doesn't have a trigger to jump to. There's not much else to do, so now here comes the jump back to the top side. And that's going to be a defensive flash for Hauntzer. Didn't want to be flash E-stunned by Spica to lose the lane, but this top lane's already over.
That is really well done, you know, from Broken Blade. I actually think flashing up in that case is better than flashing to your jungler because the Volibear Q expired. So that is actually what he got, because Closer uses that to gap close, but that is actually your stun as well. So when he flashes away towards the alcove, that expires, and then Volibear can no longer go forward because you're not going to be able to lock him down and burst him out before the set arrives. So really intelligent stuff here from Broken Blade. Spica coming back in does result in that trade, and Hauntzer had to actually base, right? So Hauntzer's first buy is just the refillable and the cloth armor. Broken Blade still has 2 biscuits and a refillable, you know, charge there from his flask, so he's going to be able to farm up and get a much better buy. And now they're looking,
flashing for a bit of the stun, good damage. Hauntzer's at 400 health, but that is a turret shot. Now again, Broken Blade, as you mentioned, has teleport. He can get away.
Yeah.
Without flash, there's a chance Closer makes something happen, but this seems so unlikely. Here comes the pullback, not going to land. Broken Blade jumps back to the minions, and time is spent topside. The junglers aren't, you know, doing any more farm than one another. But this is a farm lead to Broken Blade.
But that was actually a horrible gank. I got to be honest. I would be fuming if I was Broken Blade. Like that forced gank, and maybe it's Broken Blade calling for it. You know, I can't just put it purely on Spica, but it throws the lane against him. So it's actually going to equalize the farm. And now he has to TP back in instead of being able to just push in the wave. Just all Spica had to do is just walk in, reset the wave, and then Broken Blade bases and walks back to lane and has TP advantage. Instead, because the wave is frozen off of that gank, he took multiple tower shots. He has to go back to base before he had an even better buy. He has to commit the teleport to unfreeze the lane. So, you know, they took what was a really big winning lane state and made it worse.
Good root is going to land on both, so there's no gank at all. It's so easy to be Senna against Bard, as they're going to find a couple of roots, but a big stun means damage on a huhi. He is running out of health, has to flash away, and a single auto would have killed him off. FBI had cleanse, not heal, and he couldn't save the man's life. Just barely lives off that gank.
Very close. It ends up going in TSM's favor because it is that heal for the flash. Well played overall by the Golden Guardians bottom lane, though, to fight their way out of what was a 3v2. So pretty nice stuff for them. We'll see how much this farm Doublelift can grab, but it is going to be a Golden Guardians farm lead. You know, somewhat expected in the early phase. You know, for Karma to definitely have the advantage. This is Ignite, Comet Karma, so very heavily itemizing and kind of setting up rather for that laning phase. He's also even going Darkseal, so that is really for the laning phase here from huhi. He is trying to slam this lane. Went Spell Thieves, going Darkseal, so he's going to have a tremendous amount of mana regen and flat mana, and really just try to slam this 2v2. This is the first time it felt like they had a big kind of 2v2 type advantage in this series so far in the laning phase, and they're going to try to continue pushing that forward.
All right, well, close game overall, and at least for now, Hauntzer's able to lick his wounds and catch some farm. He's going to remain under 10 CS difference, although it's probably going to grow over the course of time. The first recall of Broken Blade, not massive. Longsword and Doran's played pretty good. Obviously better than a cloth armor, but we'll see if this can move any further for now. Recalls come through in the bottom lane. FBI getting a pretty nice pickaxe plus coal. And Doublelift switching his build up, right? This is actually the first time he's gone Blade of the Ruin King across his 3 Ashe games so far, saying that, okay, you do have cleanse, we're not going to try to force the cleanse tax too much, we're just going to go for optimal team fight damage, and so he has to, you know, fight closer a lot. It's understandable. But again, there's a lot of shielding and healing, meaning he's hitting low health tanks who are getting the health back, and it you know, can hurt your sustained DPS.
Yep, having the Vamp Scepter for lane also can be pretty nice when you're playing against the Karma, who, you know, really is kind of dependent upon that poke to get control of the lanes. You know, and as much as you're saying the low health targets, you know, that can be problematic with Blade of Ruin King. But if you're hitting that Mordekaiser, that Volibear, you know, these champions that are building up quite a lot of health when they are high on health, Blade of the Ruin King obviously going to have, you know, a lot of effectiveness in those types of situations. So I think it's a pretty solid build here. And I'm going to be excited to see where Broken Blade goes in his build. I am expecting Blade of the Ruin King first. I think that's pretty darn standard these days. But where he goes after that is going to be the main question. You know, Triforce is the most standard, but will he go towards a Wit's End or something would really be interesting to me.
Now a fight in the bottom river. They want this battle, but great magical journey through and an easy stun goes on a closer. Level 6 in the Volibear, couldn't quite immune that one. Is first to 6, but doesn't ult in for the fight. Maybe a possibility there, but everyone had flash who needed it, so not going to get a whole lot done regardless as the wave is being pushed in. First plate at the bottom lane did go to the TSM duo, although Golden Guardians now pushing it back in, might be getting their own. We'll see if they want to stick around for this one. Seems likely, but they have no ward control. Spica is on Krugs, and fighting for this ward might be a little difficult. We know it's still going to be a 3-on-3. Level 6 for Biofrost, not the same for Huhi. Thankfully, Karma has an ult in the first few levels, and now a fight in the mid lane. Damonte getting a bit low, gets ulted back by Bjergsen. Ults in for the health, but overall, Bjergsen not going to take damage and wins that trade overall. Equal in farm, but pushing Damonte out of the wave.
Oh, let's see if he has the E. Doesn't look like he does, so
Honey
Damonte's
fruit, but
probably
doesn't seem
okay.
he wants it.
Yeah. But Bjergsen should be able to grab the Honey Fruit, go right back to lane. So either way, still nice trade for him. Ult for ult, gets the big HP advantage. And it's also worth noting, you know, Biofrost, he's going to get his shot on the Bard. You didn't talk about it in the pick ban because the Jax is so interesting to me, but Biofrost is really known for his Bard, right? He's been known as one of the best Bard players in the league for a long time. When he was back on TSM previously, winning championships prior to his time on CLG, he was really known for his Bard playmaking. So that will be very exciting to see if he can kind of, you know, match or overcome what we saw from Huhi in the previous game, because Huhi really did show the power of the playmaking that this champion has.
And Spica is going to be grabbing the first Herald for the first time for TSM. This had been a 9-minute pickup for Golden Guardians both times so far this series. This time around, never having to face against the Bard with Rift Herald, actually. As when Golden Guardians had it, they got the Heralds. TSM getting it now when they have this champion here as well. And we'll see the second turret plate drop shortly in bot lane. And also there is some danger because the jungler was known to be topside with the Herald take. Decent damage towards Doublelift here. Second plate is claimed. And that is an ulti onto Huhi. That is a lot of damage available. The flash engage. They're going for double, forcing the flash away to keep him alive. But Biofrost right over the wall, finding a stun here towards closer. He can ultimate when he needs to and does so, but the rest of the squad is still on the chase. Looking for another stun. A dunk backwards. They're going to grab first blood. Spica doing it all.
Great punish there from TSM. And they even have the Rift Herald. And they already got a plate, mind you. So they can actually push up 3 members strong. This is why Damonte, I think, may move towards that bottom side, but there was potential for that. So this is the second wave in a row that Doublelift had actually been zoned off of. Biofrost was on the roam, so they zoned him off there. Then we're doing it again. Closer flashing in, the exhaust immediately on Closer, and Doublelift flashes to avoid that Senna ultimate. Then, as Spica arrives, it was a great ult there from Closer to actually immune the clap back, but still Spica able to get behind him, dunk him right back into the turret, take that first blood, and they still have that Rift Herald to drop somewhere and you know, extend that gold lead even further. So TSM going to be really happy about how that has been going. Top lane has been fairly isolated, fairly farm-centric. Azir here as well. You know, Ekko is going to want to go out to the side lanes at some point, but in this game, Jax is going to be there to meet him, and as I said, if you go towards some of that, you know, MR itemization, like I think just Wit's End is so good in this game, then you're going to be really comfortable both against the Ekko and the Mordekaiser.
All right, looking around as this game is starting up and getting pretty exciting. Temporary farm lead for Hauntzer, actually, holding on pretty well in the matchup, stacking a ton of armor early on. Jax does some decent magic damage, but obviously Ruin King pushes the physical profile a fair bit. Does not have a lot of bonus health right now in the build, but it's okay with an Arm Guard and a Thorn Mail, or Bramble Vest rather. He's got a decent amount there. As Cinderholt comes through on the one side, Closer cannot afford the combine just yet. First Blood definitely turning that one around a bit. As TSM up 200 gold overall as a team. Both mid laners farming excellently.
Yeah, they are. They have really, really high farm. You can see that CS lead down on the bottom side, FBI and huhi doing a really good job, and they have been playing well around closer. You know, multiple waves Doublelift got zoned off of because of that pressure. So they are doing a really good job to try to punish anytime Biofrost is away from lane or anytime they know Spica is not going to be there, just by showing the Volibear and making them back up. Those incremental advantages really can start to add up. Bjergsen here, though. He's going straight towards that Nashers, has that completed, it looks like, already. So going to be feeling really good about that. Didn't even make the pit stop for any sort of really heavy itemization, no lost shaft or anything like that. Just double door and straight into the Nashers, and he's going to be ready to go for those objective fights.
Let's see what we get ourselves happening right here. Is still a close game state. One Drake, maybe a second soon for TSM as Doublelift tries to bait in, and there's the play towards FBI. Not going to be stunned, but Biofrost is certainly going to be rooted. Herald summons, but it might not get too much done. Actually, let's answer this one as FBI has to cleanse away, and this wave is definitely getting shoved in. Bit of damage for Doublelift, but this turret's losing a lot of health right now. TP play comes in, root towards Bjergsen. Decent damage dealt, forced to flash away as there's one kill for Damonte, gets a shield and wants to keep going. Is there more to be had? Obviously the gold goes through to Spica as the Herald crashes. The plate not quite claimed for number 4, but it is a lot of damage dealt. It is the gold still tied as the plates are entered by a champion kill from Damonte.
TSM just got straight up out-traded by the Golden Guardians bottom lane despite having the numbers advantage. And because of that huge HP advantage, they're now going to try to go for FBI. No play.
Big shuffle. FBI flash to stay alive. That's going to be a nice ulti for Biofrost. Is there a re-engage? Spica wants in, dunks him right back. That's going to be almost a kill. But first he kills off Biofrost. And here comes the rest of the squad as Closer also kills Spica. So it's a 3-1 overall play for Golden Guardians, plus the Drake, plus Damonte wants more. Big Benson gave him trouble, but Tanner Time's going to push Bjergsen away.
You're going to be able to shove him in there. So Golden Guardians grabbing the Dragon, grabbing the kills, maybe able to pick up a couple plates here also. Really nicely done by them, and that's just so much credit deserved by the Golden Guardians bottom lane. Again, they already had chunked down Biofrost really low with the tether into root combo, then Doublelift put to half health, and guess who's coming? It's Tanner time. Ekko coming straight on in. There was no summoners available, and because Doublelift was already chunked really low, it's an easy 50-0 from Damonte at that point. And then as Closer and Damonte do go over to the Dragon, TSM trying to look for a pick here onto FBI. But FBI, watch his flash from this situation. This was just really well done because they have now used their gap closers to get over the wall. He has scooped to the wall and then just flashes straight over. Great Bard ultimate to get them that one kill from Biofrost. But Biofrost, easy kill, and it cost them 2 lives just to get the one of FBI. Bjergsen also barely got out with his life, so bad could have gone to even worse.
Jump, Proto Belt, Q, really good wave clear there, and Bjergsen will at least answer the bottom turret. That's first turret of the game, of course, dropped very low by the earlier Herald play, and as 650 gold joins the coffers, it is TSM back in the gold lead. Top lane, Broken Blade absolutely smashing Hauntzer, pulls him into the Death Realm, but he's got to be respectful of what could be turret aggro. Just out of range of that one, Hauntzer's ult gets him pretty much nothing, heals back to some health, but hey, Blade of the Ruin King means sustain, means Broken Blade's going to go back to full in a wave or two.
And that's where you can see that this lane starts to go bad here, but they find the pick on FBI potentially. No damage.
But he's got the healing. They're going to go for the re-engage. The Bartleby buys some time, but the re-engage, the stun, it's not going to be there just yet as Biofrost flashes the magical journey. Speaking of some plays as well, gets some punches across to Damonte. Going to back out as well. Knew he was going to be safe to do that play. Ulti's traded back and forth, but now health bar's getting a bit low. Bjergsen wants back in. He has the ulti. Not going to go. Now he is. Scoops in 3. Look at that play. They're going to get a whole lot done. 2 kills picked up. Make it a 3rd. Huge out of the TSM mid laner.
Bjergsen going on in, scooping in multiple members from the Golden Guardians straight into the waiting arms of Biofrost. He lands the binding, and Bjergsen coming up huge in this game 3 here for TSM. He's gone for the lethal tempo, rushed straight towards the Nashers. So this is all about his team fighting power, itemizing more away from the lane. He's going to be incredibly strong in these situations. Now, TSM went for the initial pick here, but FBI has all the members behind him. Great defensive ultimate, though, from Biofrost, buying them time, flashing back through that portal. Damonte goes over into the Bard binding. He is forced backwards, which means he's not going to have the ultimate now as Bjergsen comes through. And Bjergsen, really well played. W, Q, E to get the maximum range there. Straight into the ultimate, knocking back 3. Biofrost nails the binding. They kill off multiple members, and TSM get a big injection of gold there. Bjergsen has been playing very well throughout all playoffs, it feels like, for TSM. Doublelift had an interview after their previous loss to Golden Guardians talking about how their whole team knows Bjergsen is carrying right now, that he is playing incredible, how bad it would feel to, you know, get knocked out of playoffs with Bjergsen playing this well, and Bjergsen's still stepping up again here for the squad. He just needs everyone to play well around him.
Well, so far so good. Top lane is up 1 kill because of the movement of the team fight. He's up some farm as well. Bot lane's doing okay, and Bjergsen is 3-0 on Azir. Give him the Emperor, and let him raise his kingdom around him, his Sand Soldiers, the rest of TSM. Just do his bidding, move where I tell you to, and don't worry, I'll do all the damage. So far so good. TSM up 1,700 gold, and Bjergsen a large portion of that, 1,400 over his lane opponent right now. And we'll see what can happen next. The Drake spawning in 45 seconds. Golden Guardians did get the most recent one, as we are going to be on a Cloud Soul map, as Biofrost will be rooted in place, take a little bit of poke, and now Huhi is going to be a target. This is going to be such an easy kill. Stun's not going to land, but the slow's certainly there. No way out for you. Goodbye. Support is gone, just in time for the Drake to spawn in 25 seconds.
And that was really well timed by Biofrost. He knows he has no flash, and he waited for the mantra, you know, the E, the shield, which has that speed up to expire. So once that shield is on cooldown, you have no flash, there's no way you can actually avoid that close range Bard ultimate. So they kill off the support, the Rift Herald charges. They could get 2 towers right off this push, and TSM opening up a gold lead here, showing signs of life. And it's been so interesting in this series because Golden Guardians are so well known for their incredible early game and then their mid game troubles. And in this game, it has actually been TSM doing better in the early game, getting an advantage, but it has been the playmaking for Golden Guardians that has brought them back. And I will say, there's less playmaking available for them in this game than there was in the previous ones. You know, Huhi notably had been monstrously strong, you know, for them, both on the Lux, catching bindings, and the Bard with critical ultimates. He's now on Karma, which, you know, doesn't really have as many ways to really be a game changer, so to speak.
It's true. I mean, I'm always a much bigger fan of champions who basically aren't Karma in the late game, because Karma does all of her things at level 3, right? She's already got her ultimate, she's got all of her 3 skills. Like, cool, I shield you, we're good. This is me. And the playmaking just gets better and better from the other champions over the course of time. So, still favoring TSM quite a lot in this one. Obviously, we have seen Golden Guardians come back from maybe worse situations. This is still a game to be played. They have done some wonderful things across this game and across this series. But TSM, I think, very solidly in the driver's seat.
So, Broken Blade is going towards a Phage with the Ruby Crystal and the Longsword, so likely Triforce. You know, some people do the Black Cleaver Jax. I don't think we'll see it this game. It probably, in all likelihood, will be Triforce, and we'll see where he wants to go after that. You know, I was hoping for the Wit's End, not expecting it necessarily. I still think that there is room to go for those types of utility-style items. Third, Bjergsen, though, with the heavy attack speed, 3 soldiers out. They're going to knock down the tower, and now Damonte in trouble.
Good damage. Damonte going to have to ult pretty soon. Does so, but he's in the middle of literally the entirety of TSM, and Doublelift grabs his kill as Vengeance, from the first time he TP'd back down to the bottom lane, says, I've got homies with me. You're going down. And again, TSM in control of this game. Baron's on the map. Not an easy take, to be clear, but a 2,500 gold lead for the team.
And they're playing proactively. They're actually, you know, pushing their advantages. They're looking to make fights happen. They're looking for picks, which is something that you want to see them doing when they have the tools to go for it. You have the Bard ultimate. You have the Ashe ultimate. So you need to continue to look for these sorts of plays. They find Damonte kind of overextending, trying to defend that tower. So, you know, well handled there, just focusing down the turret and then forcing him to ult back into the waiting arms of the rest of the squad. TSM have those 2 dragons. It is going to be a Cloud Soul this game, so, you know, not as much direct power, but I do think it's very effective in the side lanes in particular. You know, for both Jax and Mordekaiser, it's actually really, really strong. You know, you pop that Jax ultimate, you get that big burst of move speed. It becomes incredibly difficult to actually kite, to the point where even if you flash away from, you know, a Q Counter-Strike, Jax pops the ultimate, and he can kind of just get straight back up to you.
Yeah, he's going to do really well for himself. So there is the Phage in there. I would say that I don't hate Cleaver because there's an armor stack here, but Bjergsen's going to lose the Banshee's build, just gets out of the stun, goes for the backwards shuffle, and Damonte can have a hard time catching back up, but he can try. I mean, Bjergsen's ultiless, jumps back to the soldiers, puts turret down here as well, goes for as much damage as he can, and Damonte, taking too much damage, does have to jump out, doesn't have any MR, doesn't have quite the burst of AP. Senna ult finds some damage, Closer wants in, smites, claps, and it took 4 of them. But they finally find themselves that kill. They couldn't get the shield on who's been champion. But yes, with 3 showing bot lane, Baron is the target. This was what led the Golden Guardians come back in Game 2. It could seal the deal for TSM in Game 3. Team is coming around. Hauntzer could always ult the jungler. 5k health on Baron, and there's just not enough time to knock it down, so an unanswered kill in the bottom side for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, you have double-bladed Rune King, sure, but it's 21 minutes. The Baron is tough to take down at that point of the game. So despite the fact that, 3 members went bot, the Senna ulted bot as well, there's just not enough time for TSM to actually secure that. And Hauntzer could even flash in and ult your jungler, taking away your smite. So, it's too risky to try to finish. So Golden Guardians find a really good pick. They grab a tower on the bottom side. Broken Blade looking to trade here on Hauntzer, but Hauntzer just needs to spend all his time under the turret, to be honest. He just wants to try to wave clear and prevent Broken Blade from doing what he's got to do. If you can just trade evenly and farm, you are really happy at this point, because any sort of extended fight is going to go heavily in the favor of the Jax.
Yep, and it's going to get kind of worse before it gets better. Looking over at the rune page for Hauntzer, not even running any chance of Spell Vamp. He's not running Domination Secondary for Ravenous Hunter, so he could, heal up off the minion wave. Yeah, his W passive gives him a little bit, and you can get a couple hundred health back every wave or two, but you can just see Broken Blade takes any trade he wants, fights the Krugs, goes back to full, and says, all right, want to do it again? You're at half. And Hauntzer's like, no, I don't, actually. I would lose that fight.
Yep, and he went Resolve secondary very likely because it's stronger for the laning phase. Those things like Ravenous Hunter are so strong later, but it's very weak early, and you can already sometimes fall behind. And if you fall behind Jax early, you are so doomed because you don't outscale, so you're just kind of screwed. He's done okay, right? He's been able to keep the farm relatively close, and as long as Broken Blade isn't just getting to the point where he can just take all the towers, you don't have to worry that much. Broken Blade is closing in on that Triforce as a second item. That is where your burst in teamfights becomes pretty scary if you get in on top of some of these members. There's no exhaust on the Karma this game, so there's no exhaust at all for Golden Guardians, but they're looking for Bjergsen again, and he looks
again for the play. He has flash, he does burn it, he's trying to get away, but can't get too far. Ulti over the top from a couple of people, and they're going to knock in the mid laner. That is most of the gold gone, so Hauntzer pulls in the ulti. He's going to catch Doublelift. Double's going to have a really hard time kiting a Mordekaiser without anywhere to go. He's stuck in the ring. He's stuck in the circle. Damonte gets him as he comes out of the Death Realm. And Golden Guardians have found their way into a team fight yet again. They one-shot the captain. This time around, you are not FBI, Biofrost. No Drake Steel for you. Golden Guardians ties the Drake count and nearly ties the gold lead.
I mean, this is Baron. They're going to tie the gold lead because they're just going to go straight forward. Both carries on TSM are dead because Bjergsen got picked again here in the side lane, and then everyone from TSM, the call was to defend Bjergsen, so everyone flies on in, and Hauntzer just gets the ultimate onto Doublelift. With the itemization that Hauntzer has, with all of that armor, there's just honestly no chance. Even if Mordekaiser doesn't hit a single skill, you can just auto-attack Ashe to dead at that point. So Golden Guardians looking for this Baron here, and it looks like they're going to get it.
And Damonte is going to be the one to zone out the jungler, keep Broken Blade away. He's going to run out of health, but not before the Baron dies. Huhi gets chopped down as well, though. TSM, how much can they get? Doublelift has the global ulti available. It's going to be an offensive recall from one. Hauntzer is alone against 4. How many does Golden Guardians lose? They've lost 3. They're going to lose a 4th, as well as the arrow from downtown finds closer. And you may have gotten Baron, but the gold lead's going to go to TSM. Give the kill over, a shutdown to Broken Blade. It's TSM's time to shine.
It's revenge of the Doublelift after getting put in the no fun zone with Mordekaiser. Nice ultimate from downtown. So Golden Guardians always were going to get this Baron, but the question is, can they escape? Damonte trying to zone off multiple members, but he gets put into a 1v3, just dies, and then Bjergsen shreds through the Karma, arrives here. They burst down Hauntzer, who had no ultimate, and then Doublelift from downtown nails the Ashe ultimate. And the last split second there of Closer's recall, meaning another death going over. So the only person who actually is going to have the Baron buff there is the Senna. It won't be in the side lanes whatsoever. They could still group around FBI, but taking so much of that power out of it, and with all those kills going TSM's way, they extend the gold lead.
Yeah, big surge of golden XP when you kill the Baron. It's a lot of the power of getting it in and of itself, and obviously that was all answered by the fact that 4 kills went right back over, XP to boot, wave clear to boot, and now what can you get with 1 champion buffing up the minions nearby? It's as strong as 5 buffing up the minions, so it does make the siege pretty decent. And so how much can Golden Guardians get?
There's no one answering Broken Blade, so they're actually just trying to trade for this. Bjergsen has Death Cap. They're looking for the dive.
Looking for the hard dive, 5v4, dunk backwards in for the Sett. Turret turned off by Volibear, but it doesn't matter. TP comes in. Here comes Jax. Pulled in the Death Realm by Hauntzer, keeps his backliner alive, but he will lose his life for this play. Cannot fight Broken Blade. He's going to be killed off, and who he is next to fall. TSM have turned it on in Game 3.
And look at the pings towards the bot lane minion wave that's already pushed up there. TSM is trying to get over there before Senna could wave clear it out. I don't think that they will be able to, so perhaps they can stop this push, but there's actually another wave coming in here, so Bjergsen looking to try to reinforce. They want to try to threaten this inhibitor tower. Damonte is back up, though, and Closer's going to be up here pretty soon, so I'm not sure how much more TSM can get. I think they should just probably back off, reset. They are feeling it too, but they defend the Baron push here, getting more kills to their name, as Golden Guardians felt they couldn't answer the split push, tried to force, and TSM more than strong enough to withstand that push.
Yeah.
I mean, Bjergsen had the death cap before that dive happened. He is ridiculously strong on this Azir. Broken Blade's going to be going towards the Death Stance third, so he will be getting some MR into the build just in a different way. Death Stance also going to be very nice for the team fighting if you do have to group. So going to be pretty strong on this Jax. He's already hit 16.
Now, TSM's gold leads lie in about 2,000 each on Broken Blade and Bjergsen. We saw the top lane counterpick. We saw Bjergsen, who's been carrying TSM, kicking and screaming on a well-starting Azir. They are the ones to watch in these fights. Now, Golden Guardians had their heroics in Game 1 and especially in Game 2. But it looks like the carries may well be able to stand up here. Triple item in for Bjergsen, counting a death cap, counting a Banshee's Veil. And that's going to be even harder to find a way to kill him. QSS picked up for the entirety of the bot lane here. Doublelift will be able to get away from Hauntzer. That's an important pickup here, as he wants to just, just hurricane the front line down and not be forced to 1v1.
And you've also got to remember, look at how little MR is over on the Golden Guardians team. The only MR really is the Athenes and the Locket, which is basically zero. Azir went for the team fighting rune, the scaling rune with lethal tempo. He has the 3 items with the death cap and the Nashers. He will kill the front line almost instantaneously. Like, you have no durability against this guy without any magic resistance. So, Bjergsen has the ability to just single-handedly take over these team fights.
This Banshee gets popped off by the Storm, but not really going to matter too much. Damonte going to try. He's at least equal level. Goes for some heroics. Big damage there. Bjergsen's going to be chunked at about half HP. That's not too horrible. There's no spell vamp for Bjergsen. He didn't go Ravenous Hunter either, so that is one thing he can't do easily. So it's going to be a recall out of him.
Yep, Biofrost's got to be a little bit careful. And that was just a nice little trade because they put the Karma Shield. Force Flash.
If Closer had Flash, right, that was a dead Bjergsen, so he has to preemptively Flash. Didn't realize that the man didn't have it. As the third Drake goes over to TSM, 1 away from Cloud Soul now. Move speed definitely pretty important when you've got a fairly melee and walking heavy composition. Not a lot of blocks on the team.
Flat 10% move speed for the Jax, for the Sett, and even for the Bard, who really does prize that move speed, is going to be so nice. The ultimate move speed, I would say, is most useful for the Jax. Like, situationally, it can be okay for the Ashe if you use the ult defensively and then kite back. But generally speaking, everyone really loves the flat 10%. But we will see, where they want to go from here. So no flash down Bjergsen. I think he is going to end up being a pretty big target during these next couple of minutes. Baron will be up in 45. We'll see if Golden Guardians want to try to force anything around there. But it would be fairly risky to be grouped up in that pit against Bjergsen right now.
0-1 and 13 on Biofrost Bard. He has done so much to set up in this game. Nearly 100%, 13 out of 14 participation. Only one of the deaths, not bad at all. Good work out of him so far. He's got the Shirelias to help the team get in. I mean, this team is going to zip around the map. Obviously, low cooldown on ults helps as well. It's going to feel pretty fun for the squad. It's like he went Essence Reaver after all on Doublelift's side. He still has the ult CDR. It's perfect as he moves towards Infinity Edge third.
Yeah, it's always nice to be able to have that. Biofrost got to be a bit careful here. Spica might actually get chased down. That is a fast FBI. Holy moly.
Yep.
Those Karma Shields zooming in there.
Swifties on 2 members there, and the Senna E obviously helps a little bit there as well. And now Spica looks for a ward, looks for a play, TP in from the squad, looking to make this push happen. We know Baron is back on the map. Golden Guardians got the first one, but lost 4 members for it, and ended up being a negative for them overall. Easy red buff steal goes to Doublelift here, as Biofrost face checks to fight for a ward, but he's not going to be in any problems here as they fight back and forth for ward control.
I want to see, oh, they're actually looking for the engage here. Nice sidestep from FBI, but I want to see Broken Blade go to bot lane. I think that is where you're going to get more out of the Jax, because it's very easy for Golden Guardians to both push away the Jax and contest for vision at the same time, because you're going to the same location to actually do it. TSM trying to zone and 2-man the Baron for now. Jax is on the flank, so they're actually just looking for the fight. Closer into the pit very early, though.
Ults in, didn't have vision, didn't know when it was getting too low, but now the re-engage comes in. Broken Blade wants this one, flash the FBI, can't for the stun, but he gets a slow. pulled into that realm. Baron's already been picked up. Now the other half of the team fight is Damonte. Gets right back to base after his TP comes in. Broken Blade is the target. He is in a 1v4, but he might not be stopped. He is simply too tanky. He walks away, and TSM get a clean Baron.
Nicely done. So they decide to pull out of the split push. They use Broken Blade for the flank there. He went for the flash follow on the Counter-Strike onto FBI. Couldn't quite get that timing, but they forced out the cleanse. He's TPing down towards the bot lane, so they're just going to push in 3 lanes. Damonte, though, setting up for the flank here. He knows they have got to get a kill here to stop this Baron push. They can't just sit back. Senna does not have the kind of wave clear to get it done.
Spot. This is the time to go. FBI is going to find a route. They're going to find a lot of damage to the Biofrost, but he's going to cleanse, he's going to flash away, and now Doublelift the target, flashes himself, but Damonte is on the chase.
Oh no!
And that Timbered Fate will not save his life. That is always your kill. However, turrets are falling. Inhibitor is gone in 2 different lanes. Nexus turrets falling as well. Golden Guardians must defend 5v4 and make it a 4v4 as instantly Hauntzer dies. They're going for more. TSM trying to find this win, and they will most certainly do it. As health bars get low, it's kills across the board, and TSM win Game 3.
TSM staying alive in this series. The anti-synergy on the Biofrost ultimate there as Damonte ulted away and the Barnall lands. Pretty funny stuff, but TSM pushing on all sides there, cleaning up in the solo lanes. Bjergsen, as well as Broken Blade, had some incredibly strong games here. The Jax was the pick I wanted, was the pick I think fit best based on the champions. They had the confidence to go to it, and they showed something new that worked. Bjergsen has been drawing ban after ban after ban in this series.
Yeah,
I just saw a stat, that every single ban has been towards Bjergsen until after he had picked his champion. So only 2 bans weren't towards him, and that was post Bjergsen picking his champion. So it's like, that is just insane. So other people have to step up, and finally there is some threat from someone else on the team. Broken Blade having a monster Jax game maybe will pull some of that attention away from Bjergsen and open him up to play what he wants to play.
Kudos as well to Biofrost for a great Bard game here as well. The last ult, it bought 2 seconds for the base push. It was the foresight. It was good play out of him. So well played, TSM, with a deserved Game 3 victory. They've got to complete the reverse sweep to stay alive in playoffs. Otherwise, double match point for Golden Guardians. Now we're heading to a short break. When we return, we will have the state from Analyst Desk for more insight on that TSM win. So see you soon.
Those cravens backstab me, deceive me, never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Yeah, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Hold down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Yeah. I am the light bringer. Now listen, fellow warriors, I ask you, should my campaign come to an end? There's way more to avenge. Whoa! 50 million souls living in this realm without much hope. Not too long ago, this kingdom was a golden state of hope. Yeah! Call down the
Welcome back to the LCS, where we're going to Game 4. That's right, TSM came away with a victory here to push the series score to 2-1. And they did it even in the face of Golden Guardians' continued focus on banning out that mid lane, probably.
I mean, I can't believe the only way we got away from the 15 out of 15 bans was because TSM's like, all right, we're just picking you your mid champ, like just deal with it. There's, you have 2 more choices if we pick you in 1, 2, 3. I like that.
I gotta say, as much as you're memeing about it, it's a good adaptation.
Oh yeah, no,
Olaf
this is good on
really
TSM to
game,
acknowledge
guys.
this. Yeah.
Olaf was really scary. I'm a personal fan of like the double ban makes an unban. But the reality is that the Ekko versus Azir matchup is one that we have seen so many times before, and it puts a big emphasis on Ekko in the laning phase and then in the 1-3-1s. But then the team fights for Bjergsen where he really got to shine with a big scoop.
Yeah, overall, you're not really scared about the counter pick from Damonte killing Bjergsen in lane and stomping him. It's more about, Damonte using his counter pick to stay even and make things happen for his team, which he does do on the Ekko, but it finally gives Bjergsen one of his best champions in Azir. At the same time, they also were willing to finally really hard counter pick the Mordekaiser, which I liked a lot. And Hauntzer has not actually looked that good this series. I would say that's one of the biggest departures from the previous series to this one is the top lane has not gone heavily in Golden Guardian's favor at all.
And yeah, I think this is the Jax pick of what kind of seals this draft as a good draft for TSM, because the Jax can beat the Ekko in the side lane later. He stomps a Mordekaiser early, and biggest thing is it's another threat for TSM. TSM's been rolling one threat Bjergsen like this whole series, but now there's a Jax to deal with. Like, you can't just kill Bjergsen and call it GG now.
I love to see continued experimentation in the top lane. I also like to see that Sett back in the jungle for Spica, one of the best champions for him all summer split long. He's back on it, and already he has a greater effect rather in the early game.
Sett, Volibear, these kind of champions is what I want to see more of Spica, just because it's so easy to have a giant impact.
And it's great to see because last game, even though TSM had an early game going in their favor, we still gave a lot of credit to Golden Guardians being the proactive ones. Here, TSM starts making their own plays and finding a lot of opportunities. It's not always the cleanest thing, but the fact that they were not slowed down, and they weren't thrown from game 2 in a mental boom state, that they're actually still going in, was great to see. Even if plays like this happen where it gets turned around a little bit, at least they're still fighting for this series. They're not laying over and letting Golden Guardians run over them.
And the Azir, I think, moving forward, it's weird to me that Golden Guardians has actually gone for more of the Ekko and less of the Ziggs that was so successful at the beginning of the playoffs, where the Ekko just puts himself in such dangerous situations like this one, where it's like, okay, you can chase and you could maybe even die if TSM commits a little harder for you and you don't have time to use the ultimate, but it does allow TSM to then come back into the play because you are in melee.
There, that's the big one that you were talking
scoop.
about, Crumbs, right there.
Yeah.
So big Shurima shuffle coming out of Bjergsen to help turn things around. I like to call out towards the Ziggs. What will Golden Guardians now do in response to that earlier picked mid laner on the side of TSM, now knowing that maybe they only have a potential of up to 3 bans to throw towards the mid laner? Do they swap up their bans? Do they go with just a different counter pick in the mid lane? Because even though Spica had a solid early game and things did look good for TSM, Golden Guardians, they stuck to their plan, man. If there's one thing this team does well, it is stick to the plan.
And it works. I mean, this was how they almost got back into the game with attacking Bjergsen in the side lane. Jax had lost his TP, but TSM wanted to keep up side lane split push pressure, so they put the Azir down there. A little dangerous versus Ekko, and TSM doesn't seem great about playing around side lane pressure, so they found a couple openings to sneak through their line. Here, TSM was actually shadowing bot side. They were shadowing Bjergsen, but they still got ran through. They just sprinted past TSM to get to Bjergsen. Then TSM's playing catch-up, trying to keep him alive, and they pick him off again. This did lead to a Baron situation that TSM contested successfully and basically only allowed one person to come back into it. So the fact that they didn't fall apart once Bjergsen started getting picked was really impressive.
Yeah, I think that's very key, right? Keeping themselves alive even when things started to turn bad in this series. You mentioned they pick up Baron off the back end of that Dragon, but TSM will immediately remove 4 of those purple buffs, making it quite easy to deal with the Baron itself. So now we turn our attention to Game 4, still series point for Golden Guardians, now a side selection for the first time going to red. So they're going to repeat side selection from the game that they lost, which is interesting to me. What any ideas why they might maybe doing that?
Yeah, I think a big thing is just going to be switching up the top lane picks. You don't want to blind your champion anymore, and if you do, you want to make sure that you protect them for the matchups that are going to be the worst. The worst for Mordekaiser right now is the Jack, so if they're going to go in that direction, they can protect themselves by banning those in the second rotation, knowing that you have the last pick there, and you can start setting yourself up for a better matchup top. Because I agree with Mark. I think that has been the biggest difference between the first time we've met. You obviously are not going to be able to replicate the bodying that FBI and huhi did into the bottom lane, but the top one needs to be stabilized.
And I got to say as well, you can swap up your first rotation bans. If Bjerg wants to blind the Azir early, ban the Azir in the first phase and maybe save the Akali, or I think the Zillion was the other first phase ban they've been doing. You can try to drop one of those.
Zillion's been
Azir.
actually pushed out. It's
I think it's
LeBlanc,
LeBlanc.
and Aurelia.
Yeah.
LeBlanc is-
Aurelia. So maybe you pause on the Aurelia ban and wait for second phase for that, as well as the fact that I don't think you need to save the counter pick for huhi. I think he's playing great this series, and you can power pick the Bard and save the 5th pick counter pick for your top lane actually.
Okay, Probably.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think the dropping Aurelia ban is smart. It's not a blind pickable top laner, so if TSM does want to take Aurelia in 1, 2, 3, it has to go mid laner because you can pick Jax or Fiora and that stomps on Aurelia.
I'd be
That's
very
why
careful.
I don't think
Hold
it's a blind
on.
pick.
I think Aurelia mid is the problem here because not only do you get to give it for Bjergsen who got buffed, but then it gets Spica on a matchup that he's very comfortable with, Sejuani duty. Every coach dreams of putting their jungler on Sejuani duty, and if you can have Bjergsen on the Aurelia, it's even better.
So Aurelia Sejuani is good. The problem is you are now running the full AD comp, so now you pick an AP top laner. I can't think of many great AP top laners that Broken Blade plays well. I know he showed the Vlad, but that was specifically in Shen. Maybe he does the blind pick Mord, but we're going back into the Jax counter pick. So the one thing that I would like to see, though, is the Ashe in 1-2. I want to take that away from Doublelift. Not that he's playing like phenomenal on Ashe, and that's a huge takeaway, but it forces the cape ban from TSM. You take the Ashe in 1-2. Now Doublelift has to play Ezreal or Senna, or maybe he goes the Kalista into Ashe, maybe Desire or Khan. It puts him on something different.
He's not playing Senna, I hope.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing Senna, but I would like to see FBI back on something that like has a bit better wave control and still has that kind of engage potential.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the fact that Golden Guardians is opting to stay on the side that they took a loss on when they crafted 2 really great blue side plans, but that indicates they've got something in store. They feel like they've got what it takes to take TSM down in 4. But with that win, TSM will be sending us to a 4th game today, right after this break. We'll see you there.